What's happening, everybody?
Hi,
welcome
guys.
back to the Castro Files.
Hey, I like your new shirt.
I was just gonna say something about that.
You should turn a little more and show the peeps your
Santa Fe, New Mexico alien shirt. Thank you so much. Beth was out there just recently.
Got to bring something home for the hubs.
Picked me up an alien shirt.
Yep.
Come on.
Yep.
Like, is there a lot of aliens in
New Mexico?
New Mexico?
Heck yeah, man.
Oh, it's Area 51, isn't it?
Dude.
God damn. I forgot.
Snapped.
Yep.
A little short, huh?
Yep.
So I know you're in the storytelling seat today.
I am in the storytelling seat,
but
which is what we're figuring out. This is
right,
the
that's
storytelling
side. Before you tell your story, why don't you tell us where they can find us?
You can go out to The Bar Is Open with
good,
Beth
huh?
and Greg. That was
really
lead-in.
good.
She's figuring out how to do podcast stuff. But you can go out to The Bar Is Open with Beth and Greg on iTunes and Spotify. You can give us a like and subscribe out there if you don't mind. 5-star ratings, of course, or just tell us what you think we'd like. Yeah. And one of the things that I really try to do is when I see feedback, I try and do something about it. So if there's
the other thing I want to encourage,
volume's not high enough.
Other thing I want to encourage is if you have great stories that you would like us to go and find and read.
Yeah, 100%.
Share, because we'll read stuff that people recommend. That's
Absolutely,
the fun stuff.
we did that. We've done that multiple times.
Yes, people have asked for aliens. We've given them aliens.
We try and give you guys aliens.
The other thing I'll say is on Instagram, if you're listening to us, we will post the pictures from the story on Instagram so 100%. That you can see what we're talking about.
Great call out.
Thanks.
And then, of course, give us a little thumbs up if you're watching on YouTube.
Give us some love.
And then comment. Add some comments in there.
Yeah, we love it.
I appreciate it. So my story tonight.
Yes.
Or today. I'm sitting in the storytelling seat. Have you ever heard of the third man syndrome?
No, I went to A&M. I know what 12th man is, but I don't know.
I think it's a little
third man
different
syndrome.
than that.
Okay.
So, all right. I done, what was it called? Scopophobia. I've done all these phobias and different types of things, and it's where your mind is playing tricks on you. Or maybe your mind isn't, and you have a camera underneath your bed.
Right. That was a great story.
Yeah, that was a fun one.
If you guys haven't listened or seen it,
go check that one out. Scopophobia. But this one is spiritual phenomenon or survival mechanism.
Okay.
And this is from desertnews.com.
Okay.
The third man often comes to people's aid in life or death struggles. But what is it? This is by Margaret Darby. Okay. This is from just this past May.
Okay.
Ernest Shackleton and his team in 1916, their Antarctic exploration became a fight for their lives when their boat, the Endurance, got trapped in ice. Oof. The route to safety was grueling. Shackleton and two companions, Tom Crean, I think it was, and Frank Worsley, embarked on a journey across mountain ranges and glaciers to a whaling station in Stramus Bay. For more than a day, the men trekked across the island of South Georgia. Against all odds, they survived. They largely credited their survival with a fourth traveler. Just gives me kind of like the body, back of the head chills. Okay. Because you think of this when you are at the end of your rope.
Like it's...
Right? Think about that. Like you are at the end of the rope, right? A presence they all felt, they said, which provided hope and direction. Oh, and by the way, we've got a puppy.
Captain.
We've got Captain in the house. Peter's puppy.
Yes, he was coming to check out what we were doing.
So, if you hear a little knocking around, that's Captain.
And we'll put a picture up of him, huh? Yeah. Because he's super
picture
cute.
right around here somewhere of Captain. All right, so they largely credited their survival with a fourth traveler. A presence they all felt, which they provided hope and direction, but was never really there. "Quote unquote, I know that during the long and racking march of 36 hours over the unnamed mountains and glaciers of South Georgia, it seemed to me that often that we were four, not three." Shackleton wrote in his book called South, his book about the expedition. Frank Worsley also wrote of the bewildering experience. There was indeed one thing about our crossing of South Georgia. a thing that which I never had been able to explain. Whenever I reviewed the incidents of that march, meaning the march of
Okay, not the
walking,
march, the month, but okay.
I had the subconscious feeling that there were 4 of us instead of 3, wrote Worsley, per the Royal Scottish Geographical Society. Several adventurers and others who experience self-threatening circumstances tell similar circumstances and stories. That an additional person appeared and guided them to safety.
Interesting.
This experience is what is known as the third man syndrome or third man factor. What is the third man syndrome? Third man syndrome describes the strange phenomenon experienced by explorers or others during survival situations in which a presence intervenes at a critical moment to offer encouragement, guidance, and support. Those who have experienced third man syndrome report feeling a presence despite being alone. Third man syndrome is typically experienced by individuals rather than groups. The title derives from T.S. Eliot's poem, The Wasteland, which refers to a third who walks always beside you.
Okay.
Right? So have you ever seen the meme? Like, Jesus is walking beside you?
Yes, yeah.
Like, there's only one set of footprints. It's because I carried you kind of thing. Or one of those kind of things. It's like our mind working us to get over whatever happens, right? It's a very interesting kind of scenario. Excerpt from The Wasteland by T.S. Eliot. We've got a dog running around in here. Are you okay, buddy?
I think he's hot.
Just lay down, buddy. Want to come say hi? Lift up your head. There we go. We got Puppy on camera. You're very famous. Hi, handsome. All right. Who is the third who walks always beside you? When I count, there are only you and I together. But when I look ahead up the white road, there is always another one walking beside you, gliding wrapped in a brown mantle, hooded. I do not know whether a man or a woman, but who is that on the other side of you?
Interesting.
That's by T.S. Eliot. Mm-hmm. Is third man syndrome real? Writer John Geiger, so we'll have a picture of his book coming up here in just a second, author of The Third Man Factor, so it's picture number 1, there we go. The Third Man Factor, Surviving the Impossible, claims that there are several scientific explanations for the third man syndrome, such as biochemical reactions to misfiring brain activity. Like, you are so fucked up, sorry for the language, but you are so, stressed, you're on the next level.
Right.
That you literally are hallucinating.
Okay.
Right? Your brain is misfiring, per NPR, but he believes that a spiritual explanation makes more sense. Clearly, there are spiritual or religious explanations for this phenomenon, Geiger told NPR. Many skeptics and non-believers also have this experience, and they attribute it to other explanations. And there is certainly some very interesting science behind it. If we understand that the third man factor is part of us, the way adrenaline is, then we can start to access it more easily, Geiger added, per NPR. It's not a hallucination in the sense that hallucinations are disorienting. This is very helpful and orderly to guide us. No one really knows what causes third man syndrome. Many people claim it to be a hallucination or a coping mechanism, and that's really what I think. I think it's a coping mechanism.
Right.
That makes sense, right? Triggered by extreme stress, while others believe it is help given by a guardian angel, per CNN. Whatever. It's an astonishing capacity, if you think about it, said Geiger. And it sort of hints at the idea that as human beings, we're never truly alone.
Right.
That we have this ability to call upon us a resource when we most need it in our lives.
Right.
So, if you've had somebody pass away, if you've been through some sort of
going to say,
catastrophic time.
For people who are very religious, it could be the voice of God or Jesus for people who maybe and not because you're not religious, but could be somebody, a loved one you feel is talking to you, helping you get past this.
Right. It could be an
difficulty.
angel. It could be whatever you want to call it.
Is that the end of your article?
No, not quite done. But I really believe it's something else.
Right.
Right. It could be in your brain.
Right.
You're connecting to something.
Right.
Honestly. Or is it somebody else?
Well, and I'm gonna
right. So accounts of the third man syndrome. Geiger spent 5 years gathering stories from individuals who have experienced third man syndrome. He chronicles the mysterious experiences in this book, The Third Man Factor, like I showed you, surviving the impossible. Here are a couple of accounts. Ron DiFrancesco was on the 84th floor of the South Tower at the World Trade Center on September 11, 2001. When the second plane crashed into the building, he made several attempts to escape but failed to find a safe exit. At the brink of giving up, DiFrancesco heard an unfamiliar voice. Quote unquote, "Someone told me to get up, someone," he said, "called me." The voice, which was a male but did not belong to one of the people in the stairwell, was insistent. "Get up." It addressed DiFrancesco by his first name and gave him encouragement. It was, "Hey, you can do this." But it was more than a voice. There was also a vivid sense of physical presence, Geiger wrote in The Third Man Factor, the book. He had the sensation that somebody lifted him up. He felt that he was being guided. It was
interesting.
That it was
really cool.
led to the stairs. I don't think somebody grabbed me by my hand, but I was definitely led. With the help from what DiFrancesco describes was an angel. He made it to the South Tower alive. He was only one of 4 people to escape from above the 81st floor.
Holy crap.
Remember
amazing.
When that plane hit?
Yes.
Theoretically, I mean, I just heard a story today.
Yeah.
I was listening to a podcast or something, and they were like, I thought everybody above the 81st floor passed away.
Yeah.
Right? So it's amazing, right?
Yeah.
So he said, while ice climbing in the Canadian Rockies near Lake Louise, Alberta, James Sevigny and Richard Whitmere were overcome by an avalanche. It carried them 2,000 feet.
Holy cow.
While Sevigny regained consciousness, he was severely injured, and he discovered that Whitmere was dead.
Oh, that sucks.
His back was broken in 2 places. He had a fractured arm, cracked ribs, severed nerves, torn ligaments in his knees.
This is the guy that was still alive?
Broken teeth, yes.
Oh, my
and internal
Lord.
bleeding. He laid down to die. He then felt a sudden, strange sensation of an invisible being very close at hand. It was something I couldn't see, but it was a physical presence. The presence communicated mentally, and its message was clear. You can't give up. You have to try.
Amazing.
Geiger wrote in his book as well. It's one of those things that gets you like,
you're getting choked up.
Holy shit,
yeah.
right? Again, it's you think about that and you're like, you've got, like, some people have gone through so much.
Yeah.
Like, we have a military, we've got our veteran, we've got all these people, and, like, you're just in a car crash.
Right.
Or something terrible that happens. You can't give up.
Right.
And these are right? The presence urged 78 to get up. It dispensed practical advice. It told him, for example, to follow the blood dripping from the tip of his nose as if it were an arrow pointing the way.
Down or up.
As he walked, he kept breaking through the crust of the deep snow and was almost unable to put his feet back up because of his injuries. Part of his time he crawled. The presence, which stood behind his right shoulder, implored him to continue even though he struggled to survive, seemed untenable. When 78 finally made it back to base camp, there were people there to aid him. When the presence left, he was overcome with loneliness. Mm-hmm. He understood it was more than luck that led him to his miraculous survival. And that's the end of my stories.
That's really good.
So you think about the third man. I mean, honestly, like, what is that thing, that voice? It's not your voice in your head.
I think that if you probably talk to a lot of near-death incidences,
People that have
people that have
experiences
had
with
those. This probably happens a lot because there is. So I was thinking, I don't know, the 130-hour guy. How many hours was it?
126 hours.
126
Dude
hours.
cut off his own arm.
I mean, somebody obviously had to walk him through that.
Right.
And it's funny because
it's pretty incredible.
They call it an extra spirit, but yeah, and I'm a believer, right? Like I believe in the afterlife and the man above and everything that goes with it. So I also believe in angels. So, but I also believe that we're all stronger inside than we think we are. So there's this voice that tells you this isn't your time.
Up, go.
This isn't your time.
Right.
But it's also like if you listen to some of these, there's a reason why these people stay alive. They do something incredible after they've gone through this experience, whether
Even
it's
just the
sharing
sharing
of the story
yeah.
or they do something for the community. So I completely believe and could see how this could occur. The mind, like, what is it? We only use like 10% of our mind. Isn't that like the theory
that's
literally we could do
yeah
telekinesis or whatever, like levitate stuff. Use the force.
Pass me my lightsaber.
If you can use the force. But I do need to give a moment of levity.
Okay. Yep.
You said Tom Green.
Whatever.
Green.
Geiger.
I heard Tom Cruise. And I was like, dude, he was using his witchcraft ways back.
Yeah, that's what it was.
But using his witchcraft ways back then, because he was back. He was alive for that expedition. Yeah.
Put out the fire.
So I started laughing at that. But that's a great. I mean, it makes you think, religious or not. It could be a spirit, an angel. It could be your internal voice that you don't use very often.
You believe. Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
great. I mean, I hope if I'm ever in a dire situation.
Yeah.
Pinch poke, you owe me Coke. That I have that voice that comes to me.
I think everyone has.
I think you totally would.
I think everybody.
Me, I'm a little bit more like, man, I'm just gonna lay here.
I think everybody has the capacity. It's just
listening.
Either, number one, listening and focusing, and you have to do that. Like if you're in a bad situation.
Celine would love that story. Celine's our woo-woo friend, and she would love that story.
I think she would too.
I do too.
So, thank you guys so much for
that was a great story.
Hanging out with us.
It was interesting
for this Castro Files.
Yep.
Called the Third Man Syndrome.
Thank you for our special guest tonight, Peter, for making it fun. I loved it.
Yep. Producer Pete. Cheers.
Thanks,
Thank you guys so
guys.
much.
Love you. Bye.